So I wanted to take a few minutes with this video to talk about 4 interesting PlayStation 5 stories, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. Now, the stories I wanted to dive into today includes a great PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility update, PlayStation 5's SSD speed is being held back, Final Fantasy XVI news, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news. First, what game did you play this past weekend? We haven't done this in a while. Sharing the games we've played is always interesting to me to see what people are getting into it, and it allows others to maybe find new games they haven't played. So comment below, what game or games did you play this past weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news. Reading from Gaming Bolt, Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy got off to an excellent start with its first installment in 2020, so expectations are naturally going to be high for its sequel. There's very little that we know about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far, but with developers promising that it'll be making improvements over its predecessor in a number of key ways, there's no shortage of questions over the same. For instance, what sort of improvements can we expect when it comes to the combat? Well, as per Satoru Koyama, who was the lead programmer on Final Fantasy VII Remake, its sequel will feature companions who will be much more involved in combat. That's as per interviews in the game's official companion book, Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania, which has been translated by fans. As shared by Shinra Arc on Twitter, Koyama says that he wants to enable AI companions in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to juggle a variety of techniques and magic in addition to simply attacking and guarding when players are not in control of them. Interestingly, he says his ultimate goal is to surpass the Gambit system of Final Fantasy VII, which allowed players to set specific behaviors for their party members and govern how they would act in combat encounters. So now, I'm new to the Final Fantasy franchise thanks to Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's the first one that I finished. I haven't played Final Fantasy XII, but from looking at gameplay, it seems to give you more control as to who your side characters attack. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, unless you're giving a special attack, you don't control who your side characters are attacking unless you switch directly to that character. In Final Fantasy Final Fantasy XII, you can control who they attack at all times, it seems, which provides you more control in battle. You could also provide them with some type of preset behavior in battle, like always attack the closest enemy or attack this enemy type with this type of attack. After looking at Final Fantasy XII gameplay, I personally downloaded Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age to my PlayStation 5 just to check it out myself. Now, diving into the second story of the video, PlayStation 5's SSD speed is being held back. Reading from Gaming Bolt, according to Ricardo Sesterio, hopefully I said that correctly, co-owner and producer of Camel 101, the studio behind upcoming first-person horror game Beneath, though the difference between the speeds of the two consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Series X, might not count for much when it comes to multi-platform games. For games that will be exclusive to the PlayStation 5, it will be a much bigger boost, allowing for quicker asynchronous level loading in assets and by extension higher quality textures. With a raw bandwidth of 5.5 gigabytes per second, loading and unloading assets will be faster, resulting in quicker asynchronous level loading in assets, Stereo said in a recent interview with Gaming Bolt. Background loading of parts of levels will go unnoticed by players, and keeping VRAM usage low will enable faster games. I don't believe there will be a significant difference, as most devs will likely use the baseline of 2.4 gigabytes per second when developing for multiple platforms. However, the situation may be different for exclusive titles where the platform's specs can be pushed to the limit. For instance, higher quality textures may be used because the streaming time will be a lot lower. I think this conversation will get more interesting this year and next year and beyond as more next-gen only titles start to release. This includes both third-party multi-platform games and Sony first-party titles as well, and I'm curious to see if the differences become noticeable. Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, which releases this month, could be a great example. We'll see on that. The base game itself is already the best-looking open-world game on console, I believe. But you guys let me know if you're getting Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now diving into the third story of the video, Final Fantasy XVI news. Reading from Push Square, Final Fantasy XVI on PlayStation 5 will have a world map like in Final Fantasy X. As has been pointed out multiple times, including in our preview, Final Fantasy XVI is not open world. The game instead consists of several large sandbox locations, each of which will be densely populated and can be fully explored. And speaking with Play Magazine, producer Naoki Yoshida has elaborated in a little more detail how it'll work. We have what's called a world map, he told the UK publication, as spotted by Reset Era, and on that world map there are areas you can travel to, and you can select that area and then jump into that area seamlessly, and then you follow the main quest there, and then once you finish that, you'll go back to this hub area named the Hideaway. The Hideaway will serve as your base of operations, where you'll be able to upgrade weapons and partake in other activities. But should you ever get the itch to return to the previous location, you'll be able to at any time. You can go back to places you've visited before and explore those places, Yoshida said, and in some of those places, there'll be new side quests you can start. Again, I haven't played Final Fantasy X, but this sounds like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart's setup system there as well, just selecting the world to go to and then completing the missions over there and going back and forth. It's crazy still that we have both Final Fantasy XVI and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out in a span of months from each other. That's still crazy to me. And now diving into the final story of the video, PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility update. Reading from Push Square, PSP, as we're sure you know, only had one analog stick, which made mapping traditional 3D controls to the handheld a bit of a headache. One way developers would circumvent this issue is by binding the camera to the face buttons, allowing you to look up with triangle and so on. This wasn't a particularly elegant solution, but it made sense at the time. However, one nifty backwards compatibility feature of the PlayStation Vita allowed you to automatically assign the face buttons to the portable's right analog stick, meaning you didn't have to wrestle with this control compromise when playing older titles on the device. It's something fans had hoped would be added to the PSP emulator on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, but was missing when Siphon Filter Dark Mirror launched. A new patch for the stealth shooter, available now, corrects this issue at last. We've just fired up the game and can confirm you can now aim with the right analog stick with the release's original face button inputs remapped. While it doesn't feel anywhere near as tight or as smooth as you'd come to expect from a more modern game, it's a massive improvement over the original experience. So I tested this out yesterday and it works. For me, the excitement comes from when they finally add Resistance Retribution to the service, which was rated last year. It's wild to say that Resistance Retribution will be the first locally playable Resistance game on PlayStation 5, but it's great to hear we most likely won't have to stick to using the face buttons to move the camera around and rather be able to use the right stick like most modern games. But you guys let me know if you're excited to play Resistance Retribution whenever that drops or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button as it always helps, and subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with "It is a new week." As we approach closer and closer to Summer Games Fest, I'm just waiting for Sony to drop some big announcements. If you're excited for that, destroy the comment section with "It is a new week," and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.